I wish I could do that.
If you think about what makes up good aim, the first thing that comes to mind is probably that insane flick or that crazy beam that you saw. But when you play enough, you start to notice the small things that make up good aim. And one of them happens to be recoil control. But like most things this channel has covered, I've always tried to find the most efficient ways to master certain mechanics. And today is no different. For those of you that don't know what this recoil trainer is, it helps you learn the recoil of certain guns by giving you the recoil pattern, and all you have to do is trace it. Now the usefulness of learning recoil is quite unclear as recoil can be lessened with movement. But a part of me also thinks that if I can somehow replicate the recoil pattern perfectly, who knows what I'll be able to do. So for the next week, I'll be trying out and practicing using the recoil trainer and tell you if it's worth your time by the end of the video. Starting with day 1, I decided to hop straight into it, and my game plan was to practice using 5 of my most used guns. I started out with the R9 and this was my first attempt. Okay, this is my first attempt. I very quickly found out that I probably couldn't do it at full speed, so instead I went down to 20% speed and gradually worked my way up. Then I went to the range and started shooting at targets from this pillar, and you can pretty much see the inconsistency in my spray. I repeated the same process for the 3 SMGs, and for the longer range rifles I shot at the furthest target I could find. Since it's only day 1, I won't go into too much detail about the effect it had on my gameplay, and so I decided to end the day there. Alright, change of plans. So since I'll be repeating the same steps for a week, I can imagine this getting pretty boring, so instead I'm just going to go over the key findings. So when I first tried to learn recoil, I decided to learn the recoil pattern in its entirety. And it was quite literally indigestible. Of course, there were some instances when I had a lucky spray. Oh my god! But for the first 3 days, I retained quite literally nothing. And it was only on my 4th day that I decided to split the memorization process into 2 parts, and immediately the improvement was much more noticeable. So not to say that learning the recoil of SMGs is completely useless, but it didn't take me long to figure out that 7 days was too short of a time frame to master the recoil of 5 guns. I can't do it without like the visual. Oh my god. And I actually found out that it was way more useful to learn the recoil of longer range weapons, and by day 4, I was pretty much only practicing the recoil of the R301 and flatline. 300 banger. So, it might be a little late for me to say this, but I don't think this tool was as useful as I thought it was. Like most of the time you're engaged in a fight, either the opponent is moving or the opponent is shooting at you, so you need to move. So pretty much the only situation where my practice was useful was if they weren't looking at me, which is like a pretty rare situation. Not to say that it is completely useless though, since it did help me with small parts of recoil control, like how much I needed to pull down by. Like, I did not expect to hit beams like this. Oh my god! But moving while controlling recoil is just a whole different skill. But yeah, it's a little disappointing. Sometimes I question why I made this video in the first place, but it might also be because 7 days is too short of a time period, because I still haven't completely mastered the recoil pattern. I don't know, just maybe if you completely master the recoil pattern, you might be able to control recoil while moving because you know exactly where your bullets are going to go. So all you need to do is adjust your aim based on how you move. But I don't really want to make this video any longer. And if you ask me, you're just better off playing the game.